it's a big deal right now, right? 40 years with the organization. So I'm excited to talk with you, just learn more about you. I've been on the board for 6 months, but I don't know that I've learned enough. So I'm excited to go through these questions and hear about the impact that the organization's making in the community with your leadership. For those that are not familiar with you, can you tell us more about yourself, introduce you, your family, and why Santa Maria is such a passion for you?
Yeah, so I usually get asked first off, what's the HA stand for? So my pat answer is it's Harvey Austin, and I'm a junior, so my dad was always called Harvey, and I got the nickname, which stuck. So yeah, I grew up early years in West Virginia, oldest of 5 kids.
Okay.
My dad worked at a lumber mill, and I call it a prehistoric Home Depot. But when I was young, he got the passion, he and my mom, to go overseas and do mission work. And so our family moved to Brazil when I was 12 years old.
Brazil, really?
We lived there for
That's
5
cool.
years. So I was there through high school and came back to the U.S. to college. But yeah, I think that's where my Christian faith grew and what has been my motivation for all my work at Santa Maria, my passion. My 4 siblings, or 3 of them, are overseas doing that kind of mission work now, and one's a teacher. So everybody ended up doing some kind of service work. But
yeah,
that is attributed back to, I think, the example of our mom and dad.
Yeah, that's amazing. So just side question, did you learn Spanish in Brazil?
Portuguese.
Portuguese.
Is their language.
So do you speak Portuguese?
Oh, it's been a while. 40, 50 years.
Okay. But do you pick up on it?
I can understand some, yeah.
Okay.
I don't speak a whole lot, and there aren't that many opportunities here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's quite an amazing start in life, living overseas.
Yeah.
So I love that. So tell us one interesting thing about yourself people may not know.
Okay, so this is, I guess, the story from after I came to Cincinnati. But my first wife was named Beth, and when we moved to Cincinnati, we had 1 child, and we had another son, 2 sons. She developed melanoma, but she went to UC Law School for 3 years and graduated in '89, worked a couple of years, and then she passed away in 1992. So our boys were 6 and 7 at the time. And that was an ordeal, but we had great family support. We were part of a little church here in Price Hill that was very supportive. And so I ended up meeting again with Rhonda, my current wife, who I had known a little bit in college. I had a crush on her in college. She wasn't paying any attention to me at the time. But the Lord kept her single all those years. When I got reconnected, she was in China teaching English.
Wow.
So after a couple of years of long distance courtship, we got married. And so just this month we celebrated our 30th anniversary.
Congratulations.
So yeah, we had 2 more children. So 2 older, 2 younger, and the 2 older now have 5 kids each. So we have 10 grandchildren, which
you're busy.
Really great.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. Well, thank you. So you talked about 30 years, and now we're celebrating 40 years with Santa Maria. What brought you, and you talked a little bit about leaning into your faith, but maybe you can expand on that a little bit and tell us what kept you at Santa Maria. Obviously, your passion around the work and stuff. So
yeah, so I got here. I went to college in Kentucky, Berea College, a small school down the road near Lexington. Ended up going to grad school in Richmond, Virginia. While I was finishing up my 3 years in grad school, I sent resumes to organizations like Santa Maria in Lexington, Louisville, Indianapolis, Columbus, this whole region, because we had the first grandchild on both sides, and grandparents were in Kentucky.
Okay.
So we wanted to get back to this part of the country. Sister Jane Chappelle was the Sister of Charity that was the director at the time. She called me up for an interview. I came. She was interviewing for an associate director position, and she called me the next week and said, I didn't know that we were going to have an internal candidate, but I'm going to give her the job. But I have enough money to hire you for 3 months if you want to come and help us do a strategic plan. We could use that help. So it sounded like a job. So I said, okay, we'll come. So 3 months has turned into 40 years.
Wow. So a temporary position, and now.
Yeah. So it's great. I just have loved the people I work with, the board volunteers over the years, wonderful volunteers, all of our staff, and the people of Price Hill. It's just been great to live and raise our kids in this community, and also to serve the families here. That's what's really kept me. Every day is something new and different. You know, it's not like the same job every day. I never get bored, and I love coming to work.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That's
Sure.
awesome. So on that note, maybe share with us, you talk about how important Santa Maria is in this community, but what is there a memorable experience maybe from the early days that you can share with us?
Yeah, the part that comes to mind about what's memorable about working at Santa Maria in the early days was after that 3 or 4 month period of temporary employment, someone who was a community organizer in Lower Price Hill moved away to North Carolina, and I was able to get his job. And so for 5 years, I was doing neighborhood-based just organizing with families. So that meant bringing them together to talk about common concerns in their neighborhood, things that they wanted to see improved, helping them get information and access to City Hall and other places that they could have their voice raised. And I just remember the good feeling of being connected to people in the community, sitting down at their kitchen tables and talking informally about their lives and what they were having to deal with. And I think that gave me a great start to be able to feel connected to the families that we were working with.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't like that I was doing counseling or any sort of giving out any sort of financial assistance. It was just listening to learn what people were concerned about and try to help them find solutions. And I loved that work. It was good.
Yeah, well, I can't think of a better way to get to know the community when the hands-on in the field people that are living there. So that's awesome. Okay, so moving on, tell us a little bit more about how you've seen Santa Maria evolve with you as CEO president.
Yeah, Santa Maria has certainly changed over these 40 years, and the community's changed. So we've adapted as the neighborhood has changed and people's needs have changed and the population demographics have shifted. We've been able to adapt and continue to meet needs in the community. We were downtown for 75 years before moving to Price Hill in the 60s, and since we moved up here, it's really been, okay, what are the concerns and needs of the families that are around us, and what can we do to help? We serve folks from everywhere or in the region, but the majority are within driving distance here of our community in Price Hill. One of the big changes is who lives here. So the last 25 years, we've been working with a growing Hispanic population, and we've become very well known for serving them well. Other organizations come to us and ask for advice, counsel about how to do this better. And so we've been in the position to be able to give comments or suggestions or advice about how it's worked for us in ways that maybe they could reach this population more effectively. But really our goal is to serve everybody who lives here, not just that population, which is still a smaller percentage of the population. So I've seen our programs grow. We've expanded to multiple buildings, and our staff is larger than it used to be. Our budget, of course, has grown significantly. But I think all of it has been tied to what's going on in the community and how can we better respond to the needs here.
Yeah, and how amazing that it goes back to your early days where it was all about the feedback from the community, and that evolution continues to be all about that. So that's really touching. Okay, so tell us the most memorable or proudest, I should say, achievement at Santa Maria.
So yeah, good question. Can't pick one probably, but I could say one of the best, I think, is by God's grace, we've been able to form a really strong team. We have a great group of staff, and over the years, people have come and gone. Many people have moved on, but to have such a really solid core of people that have stayed. For example, our four people on our executive team combined, we have 40 of the years are mine, but 96 years of tenure among the 4 people. And that's a long heritage of memory, institutional memory, and commitment, passion, that all of that just reflects what other staff have done as well. That people have come and stayed. I'm thankful that people have found it a place that they want to work and want to stay once they come, generally speaking. So I'm very thankful for that.
That's amazing. I would say I felt that as a new board member. Like, just not that I mean, the people, when I connect with people that work here, that everyone is so inviting and nice and willing to help. So it helped that transition to come into the board. So I love that about the organization. Okay, what about your most rewarding experience?
I would say one of the most rewarding experiences is just seeing families achieve things that they didn't think they could. We call a lot of our direct service staff are called coaches.
Yeah.
And that's really very intentional, much like a coach on a ball team would be, not out there playing the game with families, but on the sideline, giving encouragement, maybe some direction, suggestions, advice. We're here to walk alongside people that are trying to make changes to improve the conditions for their family, for their kids, for themselves. And I've told people one of the most moving experiences for me being here all these years is going to our graduations. So when people get to a point where they're able to celebrate a milestone like that, I'm thinking right now of our GED graduation a few years ago. I tell this story to folks. This guy, I don't know, middle-aged white guy, was up. He was selected as the student of the year, so he had to give a speech at the graduation at Elder High School.
Really?
And he got up and was talking about his life in the past and how he used to just sit down on the riverbank and drink a lot and was basically not doing much positive. And he looks down on the front row and at the graduation and says, "You," it was his mom and his teenage daughter, "You are the reason that I'm up here." And it always stirs my emotion to know that we helped somebody turn around that part of their lives,
right.
Figure out a way to do better and to do it not just for himself, but for his family members. We had another graduate who was in his 70s, and I remember his granddaughter pushing him in his wheelchair down the aisle for when they came in as graduates, and he had dropped out of high school to go to the war and never came back and finished. So he was able to come and get his GED from us. So another story, GED, I'll stop after these, but another GED story is more recently. We had a guy that stopped in one day at our office on Warsaw, and he said, "Do you have a graduation coming up for GED students?" And we said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well," he was a Metro bus driver. He said, "I didn't get to walk last year when I got my GED. Can I come and walk at the graduation?"
Amazing.
So, it's really cool. And then we use the public library in Price Hill for our graduations for the little kids. So the kids that are 3 years old and graduating out of our Every Child Succeeds program, or the 5-year-olds that are promoting our preschoolers program and going into kindergarten. Oh, you should see how the kids dress up and the parents and how proud they are. And they have little mortar boards and get lots of pictures. And so they're all decked out. So those are milestones that it's just fun to celebrate with individuals and the families that we serve.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. I think hearing those stories and how the board, the organization's impacting the community and bringing it to real life makes a difference. That's awesome. Okay, how important is community support in Santa Maria's mission?
Yeah, well, that's kind of an easy answer. Very important. Of course, our donors, all of the organizations that provide funding, United Way and private foundations and businesses, volunteers who contribute their time, really the community leaders, even the general community membership. We always try to be aligned with what is it the community wants. And sometimes there are controversial issues, but we tend to lean on the side of how can we support what the community is interested in. And then ultimately, it's the families that we partner with. They're we want them to guide the work, We want them to tell us what are your goals and how can we help you achieve them. We're not here to force people to do things. Everything we do is voluntary. Nobody's coming here because they have to. And it's a blessing that people typically find us because of word of mouth. They know a friend, neighbor, family member who got help, and they say, you should go down there to Santa Maria and see if they can help. Mm-hmm. And that's always positive to hear those stories of how people get to us because somebody else had a good experience.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Thank you. Okay, so tell us a little bit about initiatives that are on the horizon that you're most excited about that are coming from Santa Maria.
So there's a big elephant that kind of is the obvious one, and that's a
real big one.
Hopefully. Our capital campaign. So it's called One Building Thriving Families, and it's appropriately named. We want to get most all of our work under one roof in one building, where it's scattered now in 7 different buildings around the neighborhood. And we want families to better thrive because of being under one roof. So now if a family, say mom's working on her GED and we have the kids in an early childhood program, and somebody else is learning English, in the family, all of those services kind of are scattered around the different buildings that we have. And so people have to travel to find us. And we know that just being united as a staff and as services all under one roof will help improve conditions for families and make us more effective. So yeah, we're well on the way to getting the capital campaign completed. And once we have the property and get the building up, it'd be great to see that in place in a couple of years. So that's a big focus right now of our time and attention, in addition to continuing to do what we do every day.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. That's super exciting things on the horizon. So we're celebrating your 40th anniversary, like I've mentioned a couple times. So what message, though, out of that do you want to share with the community and the supporters?
So again, back to my Christian faith and my motivation for why I'm here and what I do. It's a little short Latin phrase called Soli Deo Gloria, which means all the glory to God alone. So I know that I'm not perfect. I'm a weak person naturally, but by God's help, I've been able to do some things well. But He should get all the glory. And really, I think it's just settled on me as I think about how time has flown by at Santa Maria. Mm-hmm. My time here. My mom passed away recently, so now I'm thinking more and more about being the next generation to get old and pass on. And so it does trigger thoughts about what kind of work do I want to do for the final years that I'm able to work. And I just love doing the work here, and I would hope that if God gets all the glory from whatever good that I've done, and just thankful for that opportunity to be here.
Very inspiring. Thank you. All right, so that kind of leads us to our last question. So you said you're thinking about the impact you want to make over the next few years. What legacy do you hope to leave behind for Santa Maria?
Yes. Well, I know that whoever follows me will have more different strengths than I have and do some things differently, and that'll be great. It'll be a way to continue to see Santa Maria grow and change. I hope again that people think about my work, and just like I hope in my family that I'm seen as a father and a husband and a grandfather who loved the Lord, and also who was just cared about people, wanted to help people, bring people together and work on solving problems. I think those are the things that drive me and the way I would like to be left. The scripture passage we put on my first wife's tombstone was that, let's see if I can remember how it goes. I've finished the race, I've kept the faith, and I think that's instructions that the Apostle Paul gave to Timothy. And I think it's a good good sort of reminder to me that the way I want to finish is to finish well, finish strong, not stay here too long, more than my time should be, and then hand it off to the next person that's coming behind, because we have a long legacy way before I came to Santa Maria. We're 126 years old, so there have been a lot of people in my chair and other people that have worked in the organization, and I think the organization's going to continue and get stronger in the future. And I'm glad for the little window of time that I've been able to have to be here.
Well, we're blessed to have you. So thank you for today and sharing. I know these aren't the easiest things, but the impact you make and what you share is definitely an inspiration to us all.
Thank you for your role on the board. I appreciate your being involved.